Hello dear students, today I will discuss part 1 of unit 6 P block elements. So now dear students, as you know that diversity in chemistry is the hallmark of P block elements, manifested in their ability to react with the elements of S block, D block and F block elements as well as with their own elements. That is, P block elements have capability to form the bond with the S block elements, D block elements, F block elements and also with their own elements. That's why they show diversity in nature. Now dear students, the presence of all the three types of elements, that is metals, metalloids and non-metals, also bring diversification in the chemistry of these elements. That is, out of 4 block, S block, P block, D block and F block elements, only P block contains metals, metalloids and non-metals. Rest of the blocks are basically contains metals. One more thing, in 11th I told you about how we decide the S block elements, P block elements, D block elements and F block elements. About the P block elements, when the last electron enter into the p orbital, so that's why these elements belong to the p orbital. So in this lecture, that means in unit 6 we only discuss about p block elements. Now again dear students, you have to know the general electronic configuration of p block element, that is NH2 NP 1 to 6. That means either p orbital contains 1 electrons, either maximum contains 6 electrons, except helium which have configuration 1s2. The rest of the elements of p block contains either 1 electron, either 2 electrons, either 3 electrons, either 4, either 5 or 6 electron in p orbital. This you also know that is the capability of p orbitals to have 6 electron. So that's why p block contains 6 group, starting from group 13, group 14, group 15, group 16, group 17 and group 18. But dear students, in class 12th you only have to know from group 15 to group 18. So now dear student, after studying part 1, you will be able to know and explain some basic concept and topics which is helpful in studying p block elements smoothly. These are basically anomalous behavior, that is abnormal behavior of first element of each group in p block element, then its consequences, that means as a result of these anomalous behavior what happened basically. Then you have to know about inert pair effect, then Fajan rule, then hydrogen bonding, then how to decide the type of hybridization, and then comparison of bond angles, and lastly I will discuss the shape of some molecules based on BSPR theory, which are the basic requirement of the p block element. So that's why in first lecture I will discuss these topics here. So let us explain about the anomalous behavior. So nowadays students, anomalous behavior, that is also known as abnormal behavior of first element of each group in p block elements is attributed due to small size, large charge by radius ratio, high ionization enthalpy, high electronegativity, and absence of d orbital in its valence shell. So these are basically anomalous property, that means the property which differ from the rest of member of the group by the first element. Second, the consequences of the anomalous behavior, that means the result of anomalous behavior. So here the first element in p block elements has 4 valence shell, that is 1s, 1 2s and 3 2p. Therefore the maximum covalency of first element is limited to 4. That means the first element of each group in p block maximum can form 4 covalent bond, but the other elements of p block elements have vacant d orbital in their valence shell, so that's why they can form covalent bond greater than 4. So this is the first consequences. Second, the first element of p block elements display a greater ability to form p pi bond, as I told you that about the pi bond is formed by sidewise overlapping. So due to small size, the sidewise overlapping is take place in first element of each group. That means carbon can form multiple bond. Similarly, nitrogen also form multiple bond with itself and other element of small size, that is carbon or oxygen. So this is also a consequences of small size. So dear students, one more consequences of anomalous behavior, that is the first member of p block element display greater ability to form p pi bond, but heavier member, that means rest of the element of each group can form p d pi bond with oxygen. Here one examples are seen. So look the examples. Nitrogen form p pi bond with the oxygen, but phosphorus can form d pi bond with oxygen. That means the pi bond formed between p, that is phosphorus, and oxygen is basically d pi and p pi, that is the d orbitals of p phosphorus involved in pi bond formation, but the p orbitals of oxygen involved in pi bond formation. So that's why the bond is d pi p pi. So this is only happen to the rest of the members. Nitrogen do not form d pi p pi bond due to absence of d orbitals. So this is also a consequence of anomalous behavior. Then one more consequence is formation of intermolecular hydrogen bonding, which are stronger than other intermolecular forces. So dear students, due to small size and high electronegativity, and also due to presence of lone pair of electrons on element nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, these elements when bonded to the hydrogen atom form intermolecular H bonding. This result in the high melting points and boiling point of these compounds having NH, OH or FH bond. So this is also consequence of anomalous behavior of first element of each group. So these are basically anomalous behavior. Now dear students, you have to know about the inert pair effect. This effect only apply in the p block elements. So now dear students, due to poor shielding effect of intervening d and or f electrons, the effective nuclear charge is increased. This increased nuclear charge hold the NH2 electron of outermost shell of heavier elements to participate in the bonding, and the tendency of NH2 electrons to take part in the bonding is more and more restricted down the group. That is, the unwillingness of NH2 electron to take part in the bond formation down the group is known as inert pair effect. So now dear students, what happened basically? Here, due to inert pair effect, the more stable lower oxidation state, which is 2 units less than higher oxidation state, become more and more stable than the higher oxidation state. That means down the group, the stability of higher oxidation state decreases, but the stability of lower oxidation state increases. This is basically due to inert pair effect. That means the NH2 electron do not take part in the chemical combination. That's why the lower oxidation state stability increases, but higher state oxidation state decreases down the group. For example, nitrogen and phosphorus both form +5 oxidation state, which is more stable than +3 oxidation state, but for bismuth, +3 oxidation state is more stable than +5 oxidation state. That means down the group, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. So down the group, the stability of +3 oxidation state increases, but +5 oxidation state stability decreases down the group. So one question may be arises कि SO2 act as reducing agent. Why? To look about the SO2. In SO2, sulfur contains +4 charge. This you can find by the oxidation state method. H +4 charge, it want to increase their charge to +6 due to more stability. So that's why it act as reducing agent. So your answer is also in term of inert pair effect. So due to inert pair effect, the stability of sulfur is in +6 oxidation state. So that's why sulfur oxidize itself and reduce other, and hence SO2 act as reducing agent. One more question may be arises कि bismuth pentachloride, that is BiCl5, is highly unstable. Why? So again same answer, due to inert pair effect, the bismuth in +5 state is not stable. Its stability in +3 state. So that's why it want to go into +3 state, hence it is unstable. So this type of questions you can solve by the using inert pair effect. Similarly, in group 16, the stability of +6 oxidation state decreases and the stability of +4 oxidation state increases down the group. So this is again due to inert pair effect. So again I want to explain the inert pair effect. The unwillingness of an s2 electron to take part in the bond formation down the group decreases. That means the NH2 electron do not take part in the bond formation, and this is known as inert pair effect. So by the using inert pair effect, you can solve the problem which are based on stability of oxidation state, either reducing or oxidizing agent. One more question may be arises कि bismuth in +5 state is least stable. So again here bismuth in +5 state is unstable due to inert pair effect. In board examinations you can also use the term inert pair effect to solve the answer. That means bismuth 5 is unstable due to inert pair effect. So this type of answer you can put in your examinations. That's why inert pair effect is more important to learning the p block elements. Nowadays students, Fajan rules. About these rules I told you in 11th in chemical bonding chapters. Here I summarize this rule which are very helpful to understanding the p block elements. So now about the Fajan rules. This rule is basically for polarization. That means the covalent characters in ionic compound. So according to this rule, higher the charge density of the cations, that is more the charge and cations, greater is its polarizing power. Similarly, the large size of anion, greater will be its polarizability. So that means for Fajan rules, the cation size should be small, but for anion size should be large. Are you getting this? So nowadays students, how to find the small size of cations? If cations have more positive charges, in that condition the size of cations will be more and more small. Similarly, anion having more negative charges have more sizes. So this rule govern about the small size of cations and large size of anion. Now the students, after knowing this rule, you can find the polarization is directly proportional to covalent character of ionic compound. That means if one question is arises, that is NaCl and KCl, out of both which are more ionic or which are more covalent. So here anions are same, so then you have to look the size of cations. Now the size of sodium ion and size of potassium ions. So out of both cations, the size of potassium cations is more. So that's why it form ionic bond and but less covalent bond. So hence KCl is more ionic and NaCl is more covalent. Similarly, if PCl5 is given and PCl3 is given to you, and one question arises out of both which are more covalent. So now in PCl5 the charge on phosphorus is +5, but in PCl3 the charge on ClPp is, the charge on phosphorus in PCl3 is +3. So more the positive charge, less will be the size of cations and more will be the covalent characters. So that's why PCl5 is more covalent than PCl3. Then more the polarization, less will be the melting points, less will be the boiling point. Then tendency to form complex is also depend upon the polarization power. That means more the polarization, more will be tendency to form the complex. One more thing you have to know which are related to the Fajan rules, that is hydration enthalpy and salvation energy. So that is more the polarization, more will be the covalent characters and more will be the hydration or salvation energy. So these are basically about the Fajan rules. By knowing the Fajan rules, you can solve so many problems related to the p block elements. Now dear students, next hydrogen bonding. This is also very and very important, not only in p block elements, nearly organic chemistry also it will be help you. And solution, I told you that in solution hydrogen bonding also help in formation of solution. So now dear students, when a hydrogen atom is linked to a highly electronegative atom such as fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen come under the influence of another strongly electronegative atom, then a weak bond is developed between them, which is called hydrogen bond. Basically, these are type of dipolar bond. Next, you have to know that the type of H bonding, it may be intermolecular or intramolecular. Here intermolecular means between two molecules and intra means within one molecules. So that means in intermolecular hydrogen bonding, the water molecules may be form H bonding with the water molecules or ammonia molecules. So this is the basically intermolecular H bonding. But in intramolecular H bonding, a common example is orthonitrophenol. It is a single molecules. Here the H bonding take place between the OH group and NO2 group of same compound. That's why this is known as intramolecular H bonding. One more thing you have to know about the H bonding, application of H bonding. The H bonding basically applied in many areas. Some common areas are association of molecules as in carboxylic acid. This I also told you. The Vanta factor, that is association of molecules ki carboxylic acid when dissolved in benzene they form dimers. So this is also due to formation of H bonding. Then dissociation of polar molecules is also happened due to H bonding. Then abnormal melting points and boiling points is also due to H bonding. Then solubility in water of sugar, alcohol is also due to formation of H bonding. One more thing you have to know that if ammonia is given to you and phosphine is given to you and one question arises out of both which have more melting points and boiling points. In that conditions you think about the H bonding. The ammonia can form H bond due to more electronegativity and small size of nitrogen. That's why the molecules of ammonia after joining H bond have more boiling points. So that is the boiling points of ammonia is more than phosphine PS3. This is due to intermolecular H bonding. The answer is like this. Ammonia have more boiling point due to H bonding. So these are basically some points which are benefited in learning this chapter, and also very important topics which are also used in so many chapters, that is hydrogen bonding. one more questions may be arises, out of water and H2S which have more boiling point. Here again the answer is water, due to more electronegativity of oxygen atom and small size of oxygen atom, it form H bonding. So that's why the boiling point of water is more than H2S. One more question may be arises, कि water is in the form of liquid but H2S is in the form of gas. So again you can use hydrogen bonding. So that means water due to H bonding, that means more interactions are come into liquid state but H2S are present in gas state. So that means you can use hydrogen bonding in case of solubility, in case of boiling point melting points, in case of association of molecules, in case of dissociation of molecules, also in case of viscosity. One more question may be arises, out of water and glycerine which are more viscous. In that condition glycerine is more viscous than water due to intermolecular H bonding. One more question may be arises related to hydrogen bonding, that means volatile nature. Out of water and alcohol which are more volatile, volatile means tendency to form vapor. So here dear students, just you have to know that the H bonding in case of water molecules is more than H bonding in case of alcohol. So that's why more the bonding, that means more the intermolecular force of interaction, less will be the formation of vapor. So that's why water is less volatile than alcohol. This is again due to H bonding. So are you getting this? So dear students, focus about the H bonding. This I also discuss in detail in class 11. So take the chemical bonding copy again and read all the bondings and interaction properly, which is helpful in understanding the P block chapter also. So now dear students, the next topic which you have to know that how to decide the type of hybridization. So first method in type of hybridization. So type of hybridization equal to number of sigma bonds plus number of lone pairs. That means if you want to know the hybridization of ammonia, so the formula of ammonia is NH3. Now you know that ammonia contains one lone pair electrons on nitrogen atom. So here ammonia form 3 sigma bond by the H atom and one lone pair on nitrogen atom. So that means 3 plus 1 4. So that means the hybridization is sp3. That is, if total sigma bond plus lone pair is come 2, the sp hybridization. If come 3, sp 2 hybridization. Come 4, sp 3 hybridization. If come 5, sp3 dehybridization. So by this way you can find the type of hybridization. One more method here, discuss here. Formula given, H equal to half V plus M minus C plus A. Here H is number of hybrid orbitals involved in the hybridization, which namely may be 2, 3, 4. Hence the nature of hybridization will be sp, sp2, sp3, etc. respectively. Which valence electron number of central atom, M equal to number of monovalent atom. Monovalent atom means those atoms which have valency 1, that is hydrogen, Cl, but not oxygen, it is a divalent atom. Fluorine, hydrogen, chlorine, these are monovalent atom. Nitrogen is also trivalent atom. So here you have to put only the number of monovalent atom. C is charge on cation, A equal to charge on anion. So now, for example, if one question is given to you PCl5 and you have to find the hybridization, so now you have to write H equal to half. Here the valence electron in p orbital is 5 plus how many atoms are attached in PCl5? 5. That is the 5 still atom attached which are monovalent. So 5 plus 5 equal to 10 minus any charge, that means any cations, no cations, so 0 plus any anions, no anions, 0. So now we get half into 10, that is 5. So that means the hybridization of PCl5 is sp3d. So like this you can calculate the hybridization either by knowing the sigma bond plus lone pair or negative charge, or by the using this formula. So these are helpful to finding the hybridization of molecules. One more examples you can take, NH4 plus. So now you have to find the hybridization of NH4 plus. So again H equal to half, valence shell electrons in nitrogen is 5 plus monovalent atom, that is H is monovalent atom, and how many times? 4. So that's why 5 plus 4 equal to 9 minus C. C is here cations. So cations charge is 1. So that's why we put 1 plus anion, no anions is there. So that's why now we get half 9 minus 1. That is half into 8, that is 4. So now the hybridization of NH4 plus is sp3. So by this way you can calculate the hybridization of given molecules. One more example you can take in PCl6 minus. So now dear students, again P valence shell 5. How many monovalent atom are attached? 6. So 5 plus 6 minus cation, no, plus anion 1. So minus C plus 1. So that means you get 5 plus 6 plus 1, 12 divided by 2, that is 6. So now the hybridization of PCl6 minus is sp3d2. So like this you can calculate the hybridization of so many molecules given to you. So this is also useful in this chapter. Now dear students, lastly I will talk about the second last, that is comparison of bond angle. So look the conditions, how you can compare the bond angles between the different type of molecules given to you. So some rules you have to know that. In case of central atom having different hybridization, then it can be compared. Here sp the shape linear, sp2 the shape is trigonal planar, and sp3 tetrahedral. That means the central atom have different hybridization. In that condition, more the percentage S character, more will be the bond angle. So that means the sp have 50% S character. So that's why its shape is linear and the bond angle is 180. In sp2 the percentage S character are 33%. So that's why the shape of sp2 is trigonal planar and the angle is 120 degree. In case of sp3, 25% S characters are there, the shape is tetrahedral and the bond angle is 109 degree 28 minutes. So that means different hybridization have different bond angles. So more the S character, more will be the bond angle. So by this way you can compare the bond angle between different hybridized atom in the molecules. Then if same hybridization but different central atom, then bond angle would be more of the molecules in which central atom is more electronegative. That is, if you have given water molecules and H2S molecules, so here look the hybridization of oxygen and sulfur are more, to both are same, that is sp3, but the bond angles is more for water. So here you have to look that is central atom if more electronegative and the surroundings are same, in that condition more the electronegativity of atom, more will be the bond angles. So that's why water have more bond angle than H2S. Here the electronegativity of oxygen is more than sulfur, so that's why this have more bond angles. Similarly, nitrogen, that is in ammonia and phosphine, ammonia have more bond angles due to more electronegativity of nitrogen atom. So by this way you can also find the hybridization of different molecules. One more points you have to know that if the central atom, Ca here means central atom, is same and the bonded atom different, then bond angles increases as the attached atom size increases. That is, if one examples are given to you, that means out of BCl3 and BF3 which have more bond angles, so here central atom is same, that is boron, but the surrounding atom, that is Cl and F, are different. Here the size of Cl is more than fluorine, so that's why the bond angle of BCl3 is more than BF3. One more thing you have to note it down, that more the electronegativity of surrounding atom, less will be the bond angle of that molecules. So by this way you can find the bond angle of different molecules. One more thing you have to know, that if more the lone pair of central atom, less will be the bond angles. That means you have taken the example of CH4, ammonia and water molecules. So CH4 is sp3 hybridized, ammonia is also sp3 hybridized and water is also sp3 hybridized, but a central atom of carbon have no lone pair. Central atom in ammonia, that is nitrogen, contains one lone pair and in water contains two lone pair. So more the lone pairs, less will be the bond angles. So by this way you can also compare the bond angles of different molecules. So this is also very important for examination point of view and also for competition point of view. Nowadays students, lastly I will discuss the shape of molecules based on BSPR theory. So look the condition: total number of habit orbitals 2, number of bond pair 2, number of unpaired, that is unsaid pair, that is lone pair 0. So the general formula AB2 and the type of addition SP and the stereochemical formula BAB, that is linear. The common example is BCl2. Then total number of habit orbitals 3, number of bond pair 3, lone pair 0. General formula AB3, the type of hybridization sp2, the shape is trigonal. The common example is BCl3, BF3. These are the common examples. Then number of habitals 3, total number of bond pair 2, but one lone pair 1, but number of lone pair is 1. So now again the hybridization is sp2, 2 sigma bond plus 1 lone pair, again sp2 hybridization, but the shape is changed. Now the shape become bend shape or angular shape. The common example is O3, ozone. Then again, if total number of habit orbital 4, so this gives the sp3 hybridization. Here the bond pair is 4 and lone pair 0. So the shape is exactly tetrahedral. The common example is CH4, CCl4. If 4 habit orbitals contains 3 bond pairs and 1 lone pair electrons, in that condition again same hybridization sp3, but the shape is changed. This shape becomes trigonal pyramidal and the common example is ammonia. So by this way, dear students, you can find the hybridization. You can know about the boiling points, melting points. You can know about the formation of pi bond, p pi overlapping, d pi overlapping by using the anomalous property of p block elements. So these topics will be helpful in understanding the chapter p block very smoothly. So that's why, dear students, take the help of PPT video and also the chapter 4 chemical bonding. I have given the whole chapter in the form of note. So that's why take the classwork copy from 11th and read also chemical bonding chapter properly and see the PPT video again properly, again and again properly, so that you can understand the given concept here, which are helpful in the further chapters you have to know. So now, dear students, do all work in classwork copy, prepare a note with the help of PPT video. Stay safe, stay healthy and keep learning. Thank you, dear students.